Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. So today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how I made this set of ears inspired by Disney's short Paperman. I hope you guys know the one I'm talking about, but I love this short and it reminds me so much of Valentine's Day and love and all of that, so I thought it'd be really cute to make a set of ears inspired by it. If you want to see how I made these ears, then just keep watching. So starting out with fabric, I found this adorable gray fabric with little paper planes flying all around at Hobby Lobby, and I knew exactly what I wanted to use it for. So I only bought about 6 inches of it, and I think she gave me an extra inch just to be nice. I'm going to flip the fabric upside down or right side down, and then I'm going to trace my largest ear cutting line template 4 times on this fabric using a disappearing ink pen. I get these disappearing ink pens from Walmart and they're under $2. They're fantastic. But you're just going to trace 4 of these onto your fabric. I do highly suggest you iron your fabric first. I forgot and then ended up ironing it after cutting out the ears. To cut out my ears, I like using this little miniature rotary blade. You can get these at Dollar Tree or Hobby Lobby and probably Joann's as well, and then a little miniature cutting mat, but honestly fabric scissors work just as well. You can honestly also just buy like scissors and just only use them for fabric and they will cut pretty well. So after cutting out 4 of the fabric, I also traced that same template onto a piece of felt and cut out 4 in felt like this one you see here. And then I used the smallest template, the foam and batting template, this one here, to trace on a piece of cardboard and cut out 4 cardboard. So you need 4 fabric, 4 felt, and 4 cardboard. Now starting with the cardboard and the felt, I am going to just do a line of hot glue and fold the felt onto the cardboard to cover it. This little finger protector is from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 3 and they're awesome. By the way, I'm not sponsored by Dollar Tree. I just love them. So you're going to hear me talk about them if you're new here. And then I'm going to continue all the way around the ear, gluing everything except for the bottom. And just folding that fabric over and tapping it down into the glue. Next, I'm going to do the same method with my fabric. So I'm just going to do a line of hot glue and then fold that fabric over into the hot glue, pulling it kind of tight, but trying not to shift my fabric around because obviously I want the ear to stay centered in the fabric. I prefer this method to doing polyfill or stuffing because I really prefer how the ears look when they're flat. I think they maintain their shape better over time and they look a little bit more like chic. I don't actually know if that's true, but that's my opinion. That's why I prefer this method. Also, I would much rather store a bunch of sheets of felt as opposed to a giant bag of polyfill that I only use for making ears. Once you've gone all the way around the ear, then you're going to close up the bottom. Now, how I do this is I take some scissors and I just snip the center of the fabric. I think this makes it easier to lay it down without getting any kind of puckering on the fabric on the bottom. And then I just put down some hot glue and fold over my fabric into the hot glue and tap it down. So obviously you're going to repeat these steps 4 times because you have 4 of all of these things. And then once you have 2 halves, you're going to glue them together. You're going to want to firmly press down on the 2 halves. Make sure that you didn't put too much glue on the ends because you don't want it to ooze out as you're allowing it to dry. And then I kind of just wait until the ear doesn't feel warm anymore because I know the glue is fully dry at that point. Now for trim, I love using this pom-pom trim. You can get this at pretty much any craft store and Walmart also sells it in limited colors, but I really loved the black because it reminds me of the little dashes that follow behind the airplane on the fabric. So I'm just doing a thin line of hot glue and then I am tapping down my trim into the hot glue. This is definitely a circumstance where you want to do not too much glue because this is a really easy way to make your ears look messy is if you overdo the hot glue. Also, keep in mind you're going to be wearing these on your head and glue does have weight to it. So I try not to overdo the hot glue because I don't want to weigh these down on my head. But I'm just going to glue all the way around, tapping down the trim as I go, and that's pretty much it for adding the trim. To attach the ears to the headband, I'm just using my ear spacing template. This thing, tried and true for me, you guys. It's down below if you need it. It's free. You can print it just to have something for reference. If you don't have a printer though, it's usually about a 2-inch gap between the ears. You can also use a previous set of ears to space them out if you need to. But I'm just doing some hot glue on the bottom of the ear and then firmly pressing it down onto the headband. I do make sure to hold it for at least 30 seconds to make sure that glue has time to fully set. Okay, next for making the bow, I decided to demonstrate using a purple piece of craft foam because the white was really hard to see on my desk. So I cut it, sorry, I have not cut it yet. These come in like a rectangle pack from Walmart. You get a bunch of sheets for super cheap. But I'm starting by just accordion folding it and then snipping off the excess. So I'm going to show you once it's opened up, you have what in my mind looks kind of like two paper airplanes touching at the center. So if you see here, there are 3 creases. That's what you're looking for when you accordion fold it. You want 3 creases. I did realize that putting this on my cutting mat, you guys would be able to see it, so I switched back to using white. What you see me doing here is just carving out kind of a wide V shape because I want to make this look more like a paper airplane, and so this is what made it look that way in my head. So I'm still pinching it together, and as you can see here, I just think that gave it more of that paper airplane look as opposed to just a bow. Now I'm being super forceful with my creases because I want to make sure that I maintain that shape that I'm creating, and here you can see me just kind of evening out the planes. I'm going to do a very thin line of hot glue down the entire center of this bow, and then I'm just going to smooth out the glue. And then I'm folding over my edges again, just trying to maintain the shape that I've created. I did decide that this was a little bit too long, so I'm just going to trim off some of the edges. I'm sorry I don't have exact measurements for you guys. I do think this is kind of one of those things you kind of have to eyeball, depending on your own personal preference for your ears. I also would highly suggest practicing on a piece of foam that you don't need before making the one that you do need, because I only had one piece of white, and I didn't want to practice using the only one that I needed. So for the center, I'm just taking a piece of red satin ribbon from Dollar Tree and gluing that around the center. I like that this gave it a nice finished look as far as a bow goes, but also separated my 2 quote-unquote paper airplanes. So again, I'm going down and I'm just recreasing the flaps on the paper airplanes because I want to make sure that they have the right look. And now I'm just checking it with sizing on my ears. I did feel like the opening wasn't large enough, so again, just going in with my X-Acto knife, I'm just kind of trimming away the excess. This is why I'm telling you guys, like, it's just kind of like take a little bit off until you get to the point where you like it. I did really like how this bow looked crooked because I thought it looked like the planes were flying at each other. And then my favorite part is the signature little kiss mark that got left on the last piece of paper that he threw. I love it. It makes me so happy. And I just used a little puffy paint bottle for that. You also could probably just use red acrylic paint and a very like thin, skinny paintbrush. Now I would definitely give the puffy paint time to dry just so that you don't mess it up as you're attaching the bow. Puffy paint can take up to 24 hours to dry. I'm impatient, so I'm gluing mine wet, but you know, my advice is to wait. But just apply a little bit of hot glue to the center of the bow and then firmly press it down onto the headband. My clips did not work for this set of ears. It made the bow kind of pop up, so I had to hold it with my hand. It's not that big of a deal. But this is the finished set of ears. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know if you love this short as much as I do. And would you like to see more Mickey ears inspired by different Disney shorts? If so, let me know.